Not already. Not already. Not already. The season hasn't even started. And the Indiana Fever already have 3 players injured and 1 player who doesn't have a visa. That's not ideal. Look, I get it. Preseason doesn't matter. I understand. It really doesn't matter. But we've got 3 players out. 3 players out. Like, it is not ideal at all. Like, if they're not ready to play after, a knee injury, like, MHA obviously is going to start. But, like, you are hoping that they're ready for game 1 of preseason just to even play. Just even kid out. I get it. It's away from home. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. Like, winning and losing this game doesn't matter. But I'm like, you don't want to see this on the injury report. Wasn't ready for this. This is learning from mistakes from last year. They'd rather sit at meaningless preseason game and try to play through an injury no matter how small. But, like, 2 of these 3 injuries are from last season. Or unrivaled season. So Aliyah is still obviously carrying an injury from unrivaled. And that's the thing. That could be a major reason. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. That could be a major reason why the Indiana Fever have not been showing any scrimmage footage. They've been showing no scrimmage footage at all in practice. They might not be good to go. Like, they might not be good to go. It does seem in general that AB, Aliyah Boston, and Ty Harris, their return to play involves not playing in preseason. And Lexie Hall is experiencing some tightness. And that is a rough one to hear, with Lexie Hall experiencing tightness, because experiencing some muscle tightness was basically what we heard last season. Like, it was what we heard last season from Caitlin Clark, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, Caitlin Clark is suddenly injured for the season. It went from a little bit of tightness, and as she's questionable for a preseason game, to she played a preseason game, and for some reason played the 3rd preseason game against Atlanta, where she got full court press in preseason, and lasted 4 games into the season. Like, it was not an ideal scenario. But it is, at least by the sounds of things, this is almost precautionary, and that they're being extra careful. But there is just some PTSD. There was absolutely some PTSD after last season with seeing this injury report. When I saw the status bar, I was like, oh God, no. This graphic memorized so that they could change it. Hard dropped. F1 rivals. Every time you're about to get ABCC back, I'm traumatized. And I agree. And look, even out of precaution, you still don't want to hear that players aren't playing this game. You don't want to hear it. Because even out of precaution, it is now like not something you want to hear, because you've got Beck Allen is out for reconditioning. What's her name has just come back. Stewie. And the Fever have listed these as injuries. Whereas if you look at the Liberty have listed all of these as reconditioning, basically like reconditioning or return to play protocol. They have listed them out as injuries. Look, I don't think this is anything to worry about. I don't. But it's like, it is kind of important that Ty Harris plays at least 1 preseason game. It is kind of important. And with Lexie Hall, the fact that it's Lexie Hall has quote-unquote tightness. The last time we heard tightness destroy the season. It is not what you want to see. It's just not what you want to hear. If it's a conditioning thing or return to play protocol, that's fine. You just would rather not hear, okay, she's out with a lower leg injury. Because my guess is that it is, with Ty Harris, it is coming back from the knee surgery. And with Aliyah Boston, it is because of what happened in Rivals. Like, that is why she's missing this game. This game doesn't matter, but let's just hope that's all it is. Let's hope that's all it is. And obviously we can start to look into things and go and be a conspiracy theorist and be like, oh, maybe that's why she wasn't being shown in any preseason footage. Oh, maybe that's why we're not seeing any scrimmage footage. Because if you want to say, being like, oh, that's just fear-mongering, let's be completely real. The Indiana Fever lied about a Caitlin Clark injury. The Indiana Fever came out and lied about Caitlin Clark rolling her ankle. Scott Agnes then broke the story. And then they said they had to release a statement under PR and said Caitlin Clark's right ankle injury has not affected her return to play. And then Caitlin Clark came out herself and said, my groin was fine. The reason I didn't play was because of my ankle. It was the worst ankle sprain I've ever had. The reason I didn't play was because of my ankle. And the Fever said in writing that the ankle injury did not affect whether or not she was on the floor. So, to be completely fair, there's a reason fans don't trust this organization when it comes to injury reporting. There's a reason they don't trust it. And I hope. We can only live in hope. Improvement when you say listed out, if not questionable. We can live in hope that that's all this is. That is precaution, that they weren't going to be allowed to play anyway, and that they have a proper medical team that's not going to allow push players too hard. Because I'm being very serious. No medical team should have allowed Lexie Hull to play in that game. Whatever, when everything was tested and her skull was not cracked, when she had the gigantic lump on her face, no team doctor in the NBA would allow their player go back and check back in that same game. Like, it was, the fact is, we saw with the panda eyes and everything, like, Lexie Hull was in no state to play. She was in, like, she should not have been allowed back on the floor with the lump on her head. And look, a good medical team is going to keep players out and make sure they're okay. And I do hope the change to the medical team is this. But we've seen with the way this team communicates, a lot of times it is always iffy. It's always iffy. Because we can't forget last year. They flat out lied about an injury. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys.